Well, I sang solos for my dad in his church when I was about 8 years old, but with the group it was 15. I sang tenor for a family group that sang in our local church, and I've been singing ever since. I'm something like 53 years. It was quite an experience. I thought I was getting off the road. I had a group called the Prophets in '59. I started it in Knoxville. And we moved to Nashville. And in '73, I thought I was going to get off the road. And I disbanded the Prophets. And I went to work for J.D. Sumner at the agency, his booking agency. And I was there about 3 months. And he called me to fill in. He said, "I need you to help me. Would you help me?" And I said, "Yeah." So I went to fill in with him, and I was there with Stamps for over 25 years. So he filled me in finally, but he told me to treat Elvis like one of the guys. He was still with Elvis when I started going, and it was early part of '74, I went with the Stamps, and he told me to treat Elvis like one of the guys. And I said, "How do you do that?" And he said, "Well, that's what he wants." And I found out that's exactly what he wanted, just to be like one of the family members and talk to him. I guess the first time I ever sang with the Stamps, that was in '74 out in California. It was, at that time the Stamps didn't open the Elvis shows. And what we would do is come on at intermission time when he came on. And I had learned that everything off of an album. I'd never rehearsed with Elvis, and we just did the show. And Elvis had quite a ear, as ever they said about him. And he would look at you, or anybody on there that made a mistake on stage, he would look at me because he heard it. And he kept looking over there, and I thought, "Oh goodness, I'm messing up everything." And he kept looking at me. Finally, about halfway through, he walked over and stuck his hand out and shook my hand and said, "Welcome to the family." And that was thrilling. Elvis tried out one time for a gospel quartet in Memphis, and they said, "You shake too much, you can't do it. You're not going to be working the gospel quartet." But I tell you what, he knew everybody, Elvis did, in Southern gospel music all of his life. He loved it more than anything, even what he was doing. I don't care where I go, somebody wants to know about Elvis, something that happened, all about him. And even yet on my computer and emails, I get questions, and it's just amazing. And I do a lot of stuff overseas, and Elvis is popular over there. And it's amazing how many people just want to talk to you and ask you about Elvis. Well, that was an accident, I thought. Al DeVorn, who'd done it a lot of years before I got there, also did for John Denver. And he came up with the tour, John Denver and Elvis at the same time. And the Colonel's office said, "Go with John Denver, I'll find somebody." And they called JD, and JD volunteered me. I thought it was I said, "Yeah, I'll do it one tour." But I said, "I don't want to do it on stage. I want to do it from behind stage or at the corner of the stage or whatever." I said, because I had to introduce everybody, and at that time the Stamps were open the show, and I didn't want to go out the edge of the front of the stage and tell them to welcome the Stamps and stand there until they got there. And so I just said, "I'll do it." And they said, "Okay, that's fine." So I did it that one tour, and I got on the plane for the next tour, and Felton Jarvis, which was he produced almost all of Elvis's records, and he was kind of our road manager from the Nashville area. He said, "The Colonel liked the way you did it. You're going to do it from now on." So I did it until he died. Quite an experience. Ladies and gentlemen, Elvis has left the building. Thank you, and good night. I thank my wife. I traveled most of the time, and I thank my wife every week, or almost every day or two. I thank her for the way she raised the kids. I've got great kids, great grandkids, and not having any problem. And they have, like a lot of people have to worry. I said, I've been blessed. You raised them the right way, and she did. And I thank the Lord for her doing that. I graduated high school in St. Louis, Missouri in '52. And I thought I was going to stay in St. Louis. And I just had a job there, and I was had worked there just maybe 3 or 4 months, and my dad took a pastoring of a church in Elizabethton, Tennessee, First Free Will Baptist. And I thought I'd go see him for Mother's Day. And I went down on Mother's Day and saw him, fell in love with East Tennessee. It was a beautiful place. And I said, and then the choir director was a guy named Big Lou of my dad's church, which I ended up singing with the Prophets for almost 15 years. But he begged me to move back, and I moved down there. And my dad was going to the high school graduation of the people in the church that was graduating. And so what we did was my dad just took the car and went by a lot of these students' houses and picked them up and took them to the graduation. And my wife's sister had a crush on me. And she told my wife wasn't even going to that church. She had a boyfriend in another Baptist church. She was going there. And so she said, let's go and he's going to pick us up and go to the graduation. So she did, and sat in the back seat, and I was driving. And I kept looking at her in the rearview mirror while I drove down. And I said, that's the prettiest girl I've ever seen. And I was right. And I started following her. And then we started seeing each other and dating, and then I finally after 3 years, I took her out there and married her and left. So it was a great experience for me. I don't know about her. I can't think of any other thing if I'd ever done anything. That's all I've ever thought all my life. I mean, like I said, when I was 15, I sang in tenor, and it was the love of my life to sing Southern gospel music. And I don't know what I'd have done. I'd have to stop like everybody's going to school now. The fact is, I went to East Tennessee State for 2 years, and I didn't even do nothing in college. I just sang all the time, and finally I just got out and sang, you know. And so, you look back at what would you do? I have no idea. I'm doing what I think the Lord wants me to do. Oh, there's all kinds of problems in gospel music. Problems you have, problems in gospel music. It's like the world is today. There's problems everywhere. And I'm just thankful that the Lord's guiding me, and He's keeping me. He gets me through any problem I have to face. And that's what everybody should do, depend on the Lord to get them through all their problems. And if they will, they'll come out ahead. I look back, like my wife and I was talking this week, and she was talking about everything I did. She saw something on TV, and I said, yeah, I've been there. And she said, you've been so many places. And I look back, don't know why, but the Lord wanted me evidently. And I've loved gospel music all my life. That's all I've ever loved. I've never wanted to do anything. And I sung a lot of years even with Elvis for a while before I knew I was singing for entertain people and enjoy. Even though I enjoyed the music, I never asked the Lord to come into my life. And now I tell you, because I asked Him to become Lord of my life, and makes a whole lot of difference in the way you sing and what you're singing for. And that's why I'm singing today. I'm 76 years old and singing till the Lord calls me home, because that's what He put me on this earth to do. I was in my bunk on the bus, but I found out that my wife realized that I was singing just for the entertainment part, and never had asked the Lord to come and be Lord of my life. And she's a great Christian, and I thank her all the time for raising my kids like she did while I was gone, because I've never had a problem with any of them, and she knew that. And I was gone on a trip, and she fasted and prayed for 3 days. And I love to read, and she gave me a book by Hal Lindsey. And she said, read this while you're on the road. And so I'd lay in my bunk and read. At the end of every chapter, it gives you the plan of salvation. And I'd pass it over and go on. Finally, about 2 or 3 chapters, I realized, I've never asked the Lord to save me. I was raised in church all my life. My dad pastored for almost 60 years. And I knew what it was like, but I never asked the Lord to become Lord of my life. And I said, I'm going to. And that's when I did. And he didn't say, let me think about it. He came in then. Ed Hill has left the building. Thank you, and God bless you.